Have you started a brain retraining program full of hope, only to find your symptoms are getting worse? You feel more anxious, your pain is flaring, your fatigue's getting worse, you feel absolutely defeated, wondering if you're the one person this won't work for. And it's a devastating blow when the one thing that you believed would be your path to freedom seems to be making you sicker. But what if I told you this experience, this terrifying worsening of your symptoms, could be reframed? What if it isn't a sign of failure, but a sign that you're challenging these old entrenched patterns? And in this video, we're going to break down one of the main theories for why this happens and the science behind your brain's threat response and how you can see this not as a step backward, but as a challenging and potentially pivotal stage in your recovery. So let's be honest. I know it feels like a cruel joke. You've likely spent months, if not years, being told by many doctors that they can't find anything wrong and your labs come back completely normal. Or maybe you're handed diagnoses such as long COVID, CFS, POTS, anxiety disorders, mast cell activation syndrome, with a few clear solutions. Then you finally discover the world of neuroplasticity and brain retraining, perhaps even a Christ-based approach like Brain Rewiring 360, and for the first time, you feel a spark of genuine hope. You've read all the success stories, you commit to the daily practice, and you wait for the magic to happen. And then, instead, the opposite occurs. The pain that you were actually trying to resolve, it actually intensifies, and your sensitivities to lights and sounds and EMFs and chemicals, it goes through the roof. And your brain fog gets thicker and heavier than before. Maybe you get a new layer of anxiety, and all these negative thoughts just being completely dreadful. Maybe you think I'm doing it wrong, or this is just more proof that I'm broken beyond repair, or maybe my case is just too severe. Now, this experience can be profoundly isolating. You see others in the program forums talking about all their wins, their glimmers, and their gradual improvements, and you feel like you're going backwards. And I want to completely validate that feeling. The frustration, the fear, and the sense of defeat, they're real and valid, but you're not alone in this, and you're not doing it wrong. What you're going through is something that many report, and it's often completely misunderstood. It's a sign that you've begun to challenge the very foundation of the illness, and the old patterns are not going to go down without a fight. So, yeah, the central idea to hold on to in this is that one powerful concept, it's actually borrowed from behavioral psychology, and it's called the extinction burst. You probably heard about it if you watched enough of these videos, and it's important to know that applying this directly to symptom flares and chronic illness is a popular theory in neuroplasticity circles. And it's not an established scientific consensus as of 2025, but many people find it really helpful to understand what might be actually happening. So imagine a rat in a cage that learns pressing a lever that it gets food, a food pellet. And for weeks, this is how it works. It presses the lever and it gets food. Now imagine one day a scientist breaks that machine. The rat presses the lever and nothing comes out. Does it just walk away? No, it starts actually pressing the lever frantically, harder and faster than ever before. It doubles down on the old behavior that used to work. So this desperate, intensified effort right before the behavior stops is the extinction burst. So the theory goes that your brain's symptom pathways are like that lever. For a long time, producing these symptoms that has gotten reliable results, your full, undivided, fearful attention. So some research suggests that fear and hypervigilance can act as fuel for neuroplastic symptoms. So when you start a brain retraining program, like Brain Rewiring 360, you begin the process of not rewarding the symptom with fear. You intentionally take your foot off the gas pedal of that fear cycle. So according to this model, your brain, specifically your hypervigilant limbic system, doesn't get that at first. And it thinks, wait, I'm sending out all these danger signals and they're not panicking. So what does it do? The danger must be even greater than I thought. And it thinks I got to scream louder. And it does. and it ramps up the intensity of old symptoms or even throws these new symptoms, these bizarre ones in the mix. And this is the neurological equivalent of the rat just frantically pressing that lever. It's seen as a last-ditch effort from the old neural pathways to get your attention and to prove that they are still necessary. So this is the storm before the calm. It's a sign that change is happening. So I do want to encourage you that I see this often in my program, and it's not that you're broken. It's just a normal process we have to work through. And to get this, let's use an analogy. Think of your limbic system, particularly a structure called the amygdala, your brain security guard. Its job is to scan for threats and keep you safe. So in a healthy state, what happens is this guard is calm and discerning. But in conditions like CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, mast cell activation syndrome, POTS, for which brain retraining is actually being explored as a complementary approach, the security guard has become overactive, and it's now in a state of high alert or limbic system impairment. This guard is stuck in fight or flight, seeing danger everywhere, keeping your body in a perpetual state of emergency. And what happens is this leads to a second problem, which is called central sensitization. And here the entire central nervous system gets hypersensitive. And the volume knob for the incoming sensory information gets turned up to a max. And a light touch can be very painful. And normal bodily sensations, smells, and sounds can be misinterpreted by your panic security guard as threats, triggering these real physiological symptoms. And when you start brain retraining, perhaps through a guided program like Brain Rewiring 360, you're essentially just walking up to this panic security guard and gently trying to show it that the world is safe. So, why might symptoms get worse? Well, first of all, as you start paying mindful attention to your body, you may simply notice more. You might notice more sensations that were basically humming in the background, and they're now coming to the forefront. And that can feel a lot stronger and more frequent. And as some people describe it, being more grounded and aware means that they are more available and the sensations and feelings that were masked before. So that extinction burst theory, as we discussed, the theory is when you stop feeding the fear loop, the security guard doesn't just calm down, it screams for your attention, creating a bigger flare, and it just tries to force you back into that old pattern of fear. So it's the brain's tantrum before it accepts a new reality. So you're literally building new neural pathways while the old ones are, they're still active. But think of it like a road construction project in your brain. For a while, there are detours and traffic jams as these new, healthier pathways are paved. And this period of transition can feel a little unstable, and it can lead to symptom fluctuations. So I want to go over how you can ride the wave. So understanding why is the first step. The next is knowing what to do when you're in the middle of the storm. So the goal isn't to just white knuckle your way through it, but to fundamentally just change your relationship to it. And it's actually a core principle in our program, Brain Rewiring 360. So it's important that you reframe the meaning. This is the single most powerful shift you can make. So when a symptom flares, your old conditioned response is, oh no, it's back, I'm getting worse. Or your new conscious response could be one of recognition, such as, oh, there's that old signal. My brain is reacting to the changes I'm making. This is part of the process. This shift from fear to curiosity, or even just neutrality, is the ultimate way to stop reinforcing those old negative pathways. So the second step is to acknowledge and don't engage. So you don't have to pretend the symptom isn't there. We don't want you to suppress it. We don't want suppression. But instead, acknowledge the sensation with calm neutrality. See it, feel it, and don't get lost in the dramatic story that your fear brain wants to attach to it. And you can say to yourself, I feel a wave of fatigue coming on, and I recognize that this is a sensation. It's just a signal from an old pattern or a pathway. It isn't dangerous. And it actually helps break that fear loop and that feedback loop. And the third step is to go for consistency, not intensity. So on days with a major flare-up, doing an hour-long practice can feel impossible, and that's okay. The goal on these days is just simply to interrupt the old pattern and just lower the bar. Maybe your practice is just, a little bit of breath work. Maybe it's putting on a soothing song for 2 minutes. Maybe it's just repeating, this is a healing process. It's temporary. So even a neutral, non-fearful response is a massive win. So fourth, try to surrender, don't fight. In a tug of war, you can pull harder, or you can just let go of the rope. Trying to fight, force, or analyze your way out of a flare-up is like pulling harder. It just creates more tension. And surrendering means accepting. Okay, I accept this right now. This is what my nervous system is doing right now. It's just part of the process. So this moment will pass. This isn't, it's not giving up, but it's trusting that you've planted the seed, and even if you can't see them, that they are growing underneath the surface. So I do want to encourage you to keep going. And if you're in a brain retraining program and your symptoms have gotten worse, I want you to hear this one more time. You're not failing, and you're not broken, and you're not the exception. It may be, it may be difficult in this messy, challenging, and absolute critical middle, phase of transformation. And viewing these symptom flares as the death throes of an old pattern is a powerful reframe. And in our program, Brain Rewiring 360, we guide you to trust the process and respond with understanding instead of fear. And this is how you reclaim the safety with your own nervous system. So the good news is that in Brain Rewiring 360, we currently have open enrollment, and we have 4 spots available this month. So I'm so excited, and if you're ready to train your nervous system to stop overreacting to these perceived threats, because this is what causes the fatigue and the brain fog and the sleep problems and the digestive issues, then just book your strategy call. I'll put a link in the description, and it's time that you get healthy and start living again.